7-4-3. They're playing a little bit better. They were 3-4, or 3-4-1. They've blown some leads, which they've been doing. I mean, I guess every team does it, but that team hits 3-0 in a lead, and like 8 times out of 10 they blow it, I feel. But they're playing pretty good. Varlamov has been excellent. Sorokin, I forget how to say his name. He's a rookie. He's been highly touted for a little while now. He's not been great. He hasn't been garbage, but 3 of their losses were him in the net. I think the Rangers beat him 5-0. The Devils beat him 2-0. I forget. He might have started one of the Capitals games. But they've beaten the Bruins twice, which that's a team that's always given them trouble. I mean, it's a weird year. I think they're only playing high 57, 58 games or something like that. Maybe more, I don't know. But the divisions are all, you're playing the same teams repeatedly, so the Islands division is the same as it always is, except Boston and Buffalo are in there. Canada has their own division, which is that's a big mishmash in terms of those are teams from 4 different divisions, I think. And you have it's gonna be this last season, I'd give a really, really tiny asterisk. This season's weird, and the Devils have only played 9 games because I guess COVID related issues or whatever, exposure or whatever it's been. They keep having games delayed. The Islanders are going to be playing Buffalo 4 times in a row in the next 2 weeks. They played them last night, 1-3-1. I think it was St. Louis played the Coyotes 5 times in a row. It's a very weird year. Definitely an asterisk part of the year, and it doesn't mean that whoever ends up winning the cup isn't going to be deserving of it, but it's just a weird year. It's an experimental year. Now going forward, if they kept these divisions, although it'd be a kind of a pain in the ass, especially for Canada, because some of that travel is brutal. From Montreal to go to Vancouver, and vice versa is pretty rough. And same thing, just going to Calgary now, Edmonton as well. Winnipeg's kind of in the middle, so they'll probably revert back to the old things. Because the other, I guess, Eastern Division, the Panthers, Lightning, Hurricanes, the Predators are in there, the Blackhawks are in there. Dallas might be in there. It's weird. A strange season for sure. Islanders' new arena is going to be opening next year. They actually had did they have some fans back in their last game at the Coliseum? I don't know. They're going to start bringing in New York's finally kind of letting fans go back to bigger events, small numbers. What else? This new arena by Belmont Park is going to be opening next year. That's cool. I'd love to check out a game there. The place looks nice, a nice state-of-the-art arena that team's been looking for. Since realistically, you can say the Islanders, their home arena has been an issue since the late 80s. They came into the league, I believe it was 72-73 was their first year in the league. Obviously, their dynasty, 79, 80, 80, 81, 81, 82, 82, 83, they won cups, and they made it 5th time, lost to the Oilers. They beat the Oilers for their 4th cup, then they lost to them. And then, they were still competitive. They made a conference final, 92-93, 93-94. The Rangers destroyed them en route to their cup. And then they sucked for a bit, and they had little spurts of making the playoffs, 2000, I think, what was it 2001, 2, 2, 3, and 3, 4, they made it. And then they've been better under Trotz. They also, when they had Tavares, they made a few playoffs. They made the second round once. Or was it? It was once. I want to say they beat the Panthers and they lost to the Lightning. And then the 2 years under Trotz, they went to the second round. They went to the conference finals last year, and they were doing all right this year. They need to pick up another goal scorer, though. like I said, they've been one Charles Wong on the team. He died, unfortunately, but he sold most of the team, and then I think before he died, I think they bought him out for the rest. He was just like, all right, take the rest of the team. He wanted to build the White House project by the Coliseum. It was going to be like hotels and stores and be a big thing, like almost like its own community almost. That got shot down because on Long Island, and I'm not going to say it was necessarily a great idea to build all that, but on Long Island, everybody, and this goes for like building anything anywhere on Long Island, everybody's like, the traffic's going to be worse. The traffic's already freaking terrible. It's probably not going to get any worse because it's terrible and people are leaving Long Island anyway. Although now you have everybody from the city escaping to Long Island because of all the stuff in the city. They're afraid if that happens again, they have a place to escape to now. But it's always the traffic, always. All the traffic on the turnpike's going to be terrible. Yeah, it is, if it isn't already. So that doesn't happen. And then 2011, he wanted to just redo the arena. I remember I voted for it. I was like, I'm going to vote. I went down to the local school. Voted in favor of it. Of course, it was shot down because people were just shitting on it constantly. What was her name? Was it Kate Murray? What was her name? She was one of the big wigs in the Nassau County at the time. She's gone now. I think she got brought up on some kind of corruption shit. I know Mangano did too, but I think she had some issues too, and she was just disappeared. That gets shot down, and then they redo the Coliseum themselves because they never the town itself didn't want to let anybody build on that shit. They wanted to take the money themselves, and they said it's so dirty. Like, people wanted to rebuild it. I mean, they had the bullshit with what's his name, Spano, who like conned his way into owning the team, which is insane. They have like I think a documentary on it. Maybe it was on ESPN. That was insane. Islands have had some weird issues, from the kind of like mid-90s for a while. Then they went to Brooklyn, but that arena was not built for the Islanders. It was built for the Nets, so it was built for basketball. So when they actually opened it for hockey, the scoreboard was off center at the top. The seats were weird in spots. It wasn't made for hockey. Then they stopped playing games there. They only played in the Coliseum last year too, I think. Or maybe they split home games. All of a sudden they're back in the Coliseum. The friggin' county couldn't wait to get rid of them. All of a sudden, like, oh, please come back. Money, money now. Nassau's still gonna get the stadium, because I forget, Ledecky's one of the owners' names, I think, and there's another guy. But it's a nice looking stadium. And I'm sure that's been an issue for people who live over there. I don't know. But the Coliseum was cool. It was like in the middle of the county, kind of, It was like a suburban kind of team, You didn't see that too much. A lot of stadiums are in the bigger cities, or at least cities. This is in Uniondale, It's close to the city, but it's maybe like 20 minutes, 25 minutes away from the city. Oh, God. I just made the cat wake up. I'm so sorry, Bubs. She's starting to snore. I shouldn't have done that. That was rude of me. Anyway, so that happened. And now they're just playing in the Coliseum, regardless if there's fans there or not. Like, they were just going to play in the Coliseum this year. And then next year they go to the new arena. It's the biggest clusterfuck in sports in terms of, like, trying to get an arena built, I feel, because it's been hanging over that everybody, like, wanted control of the property where the Coliseum is, because it's huge. There's a lot of land there, unused land and stuff. You have the Marriott and you have the Coliseum, but there's, like, empty space behind the Marriott. Even parts of over by like Nassau Community College too, because Nassau Community is like right across the street, and then Hofstra's like right across the way that way. But whatever, like I said, they finally have a state-of-the-art arena after like realistically a good like 20 to 25 years of trying to get like an actual new arena. Even if you just want to say 20, and they couldn't even get the thing built, and then they redid the Coliseum, and it is better because the Coliseum is an awesome place to see hockey because it's a low ceiling, and they have that in the new arena, low ceiling. The sound has nowhere to go. And it's a great place to watch hockey, but the hallways are so narrow, you get tight in there. It wasn't up to date in terms of like amenities and stuff after a while. But anyway, they're doing pretty good this year. They were good the last 2 years under Trotz. The Islanders, Barzil's their star. I wouldn't necessarily call him a superstar, but he's absolutely a star. to say it was God, what game was it? I don't know if they had home ice that series. I think they did. But I went to a playoff game. And we had good seats. Just like fourth row, kind of on the one side of the one goal. Like the goal's here, and we were like over here. So you had a pretty good view of the other end of the ice as well. And I want to say they won that game in double OT. It was definitely an OT. I think it was double OT. And the crowd's going nuts. And Darius Gasparaitis has his stick in his hand. And he throws it like a javelin into the crowd. And it pegs this woman right in the face. Like right in the eye. And everybody's going nuts. Some people are looking that way because they're like, holy shit. And I was with my brother and I think it was his friend. Or maybe it's my friend. It was my brother and my friend. So she's like this for like, maybe 15, 20 seconds. And she moves her hand away because we were here and she was maybe like up here a little bit. Another section over and up one. And her face was this, I was just like, bro, my brother's like, catch the stick. Like he's like, oh, he's flipping out because she didn't catch the stick. I mean, it's a hell of a souvenir to get, but she got pelted right in the face. I would assume, like, I don't know how that played out in terms of who they were talking with afterwards, like management or whatever, but I just remember he threw it and it hit her right in the eye pretty much. Maybe it might have been like the cheek or right, but her, like this here was just like, brr. That was pretty crazy. I remember going back in the day and, Lorne, the crowd used to chant that when Lorne Henning was their coach. Lorne. I remember I was at this game. I want to say they played Florida, but they gave out Islander like canteens, and they were kind of nice. And they lost the game. This is when they were like not good at all. Late 90s. This might have been like 96, 97 or something like that. And people were so pissed they started chucking these plastic canteens that were like this big onto the ice. I was like, oh my god. I haven't been doing online game in a little while, but I went to a lot when I was younger. I would go to at least like 3-4 times a year. But Coliseum's a great place. It was a classic old stadium. Like I like the old Coliseum, even though it needed to be redone and updated or just knocked down and rebuilt. But still, it's classic. I like the igloo that the Penguins used to play in because it was like an amphitheater too, and like half of it would like open. It was so cool looking. Penguin fans would obviously know it. It was the igloo, I'm pretty sure it was called, but I remember that one. The Canucks' old arena had such a cool look to it. Not even like a cool look, just it was like, I don't know, it was hard to explain. Even where like the Cavs used to play, because they played a little bit outside of Cleveland, I think, back in the day. I don't know if there are new arenas in different spots. I can't remember the name of the town that was actually in the arena. But what else? There's another hockey rink that was classic. I mean, even the Garden has a classic outside look. Maybe it wasn't like Shea Stadium had such a cool look. The old Shea Stadium, even though Citi Field looks a lot better. Yankee Stadium, although the new Yankee Stadium's pretty much the same thing. But Shea was so classic. Like Wrigley Field and Fenway are still there. And the Dodger Stadium as well. And the Royal Stadium, I can't remember what it's called. Had such a cool look with the waterfall things in the background. I think that's still there too, right? I haven't followed baseball really much. I follow like what's going on, but I used to be a Yankee. I'm still a Yankee fan, but I was never like huge into the Yankees, even during when they were really ripping it up, and they were the evil empire. I guess I can still consider them that, but I always liked my baseball story. I saw them. They lost to it was 95, right? Yeah, they lost to the Mariners in 5 games in the first round. But I remember I was at the game with my friends, and I think there was like a 15-inning game they won. That was awesome. That's a good baseball memory. I'm pretty sure I went to a playoff game, the Mets against the Astros, like back in the day. I would have been in like maybe 2nd grade, I think, 86. Well, Yeah, it was the 86 season, right? Yeah. Wait, yeah, the Mets won in 86, right? I never hated the Mets either. I was kind of like, not a Mets fan, but I paid attention to both when I was younger. And then I kind of veered more towards the Yankees in like the early 90s. But I never hated the Mets. I never ragged on them really or anything like that either. I mean, I wanted the Yankees to win when they played in the Subway Series, but I'm gonna start I have one of them. I actually showed it in a video. I won't tell what it is, but I used one in a video. I want to get more of them. I had a ton of these things when I was younger, but not of this sport. And they're fairly cheap, so maybe people will figure out. But I want to pick them up. They're kind of cool. I had a lot back in the day. They are sports related. I had a lot back in the day of NBA, MLB, and NFL. But hockey came out later, and I only had the one hockey one. Their starting lineup figures, I've already pretty much said what they are. They're like before McFarlane, the nice looking big McFarlane figures, these smaller starting lineup figures. But they're pretty cheap on eBay and stuff, so I might start picking them up. They're cool. Baseball I followed, I played a little bit of fantasy baseball. I played a fantasy football for like 11 years, and then I was tired of it. Started off with 8 of us in 07, and then it moved to, no, it was 10, then it went down to 8 one year, then it went up to 14 for like the last 8 years or 7 years. And the draft, we used to do the draft at my friend's house, so mostly, pretty much everyone would get there. Occasionally someone would have to do it by phone. It was the coolest part, but then it got so, the last few years, it would move so slow. It would take like, we got there once at 4 in the afternoon on like a Saturday, and we didn't leave till it was like 5.5 hours. It was ridiculous. This is a thing that should take like 3. I started getting tired of it too, so I stopped doing that. And I think 2017 was my last year I did it. I don't think they do it anymore. I think they did it for another year after I left, or maybe 2, and then they stopped. I did hockey for a little bit online. It's like 5 years online too. That was pretty fun. Basketball, I'm a Trailblazers fan. I follow them. I'm not huge into them as much as I used to be. They've been a little more successful recently. Lillard and McCollum are their guys. They got Carmelo Anthony now. They actually have a pretty good team. They don't play any defense. Their defense sucks. They got Nurkic, I think he was, or Nurkic, is hurt again. He was hurt last year too. They have Enes Kanter. They have a good team. They have Gary Trent Jr., Derek Jones, I think Rodney Hood. I can't remember everybody. I think they're 16-10. They beat the Mavericks the other night. I used to really be into basketball. I think I told the story. I wasn't into basketball at all. I just didn't pay attention to it, I should say, until 91, 92. My friend was a big Bulls fan. And I started watching games, and I was watching like the Spurs, Trailblazers, and like all these teams are kind of cool. I ended up choosing Portland as my team. If it was only I chose the Spurs. And then they lost. I didn't mind Jordan, and then the Bulls beat the Blazers, and I was so pissed. I had a Bulls pennant, and I like burned it. I was so pissed because I would collect like pennants for teams. And then Portland got knocked out in the first round like 6 years after. They traded Drexler like 2 years later. He's my favorite player of all time. I love Clyde Drexler. And then they made 2 conference finals when Pippen came to the. Well, it was Pippen 1 year when they blew a 3. They were down 3-1 to the Lakers in the conference finals. They came back to tie it at 3, and then blew like a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter of Game 7. That I was flipping out. I was so pissed. The year before, they made the conference finals as well. They lost to the Spurs. They had like Isaiah Ryder on that team, Damon Stoudemire. They had some of those guys too the next year. Jim Jackson, Rasheed Wallace. They had a good team. Arvydas Sabonis. This chair's squeaking a little bit. I'm sitting on. Who else did they have? That 98-99 team was Rasheed Wallace, Isaiah Ryder, Stoudemire, Jim Jackson, Sabonis. I can't remember who else they had. Brian Grant, I believe, was on both of the teams. They had a really solid team. Stacey Augmon, I believe, was on those teams. Plastic Man. I had his starting lineup back in the day. He's on the Hawks. basketball. I used to collect basketball cards, hockey cards, all that shit back in the day. I showed some of what I had left. I like to try to collect more cards, but it's pretty expensive to go like full throttle on that. But yeah, football. I still like Denver, but I lost interest the past. Like even when they won the Super Bowl against the Panthers, I think I've said this in the past. I was very happy they won, but it wasn't the same as when they won it in 97, 98. I became a Bronco fan in 90. I liked Elway. I remember they're playing the Steelers, I think. Or something. I was like, I like them. And then they lost to the Bills in the conference championship in the, I guess it was 91 season, 92 playoffs. And then they didn't suck, but they were mediocre for a few years. I think they lost to the Raiders in the playoffs in 93. Then Shanahan became the coach. They ended up drafting Terrell Davis. They lost a heartbreaker in 96. They lost to the Jags when they were 13-3. That was another. I think I started crying. I left my house and I took like an hour walk. I was so upset. And then they won back-to-back Super Bowls. Then Elway retired. I think if he didn't retire, because he was still solid, he absolutely. I mean, his body was fucked up, I'm sure. But I feel like if he played a third, I think they would have had a legitimate chance to three-peat if he didn't retire. Because then Greasy came in, Terrell Davis got hurt, and was never the same. Tore his knee like 8 times. And then they had Jake Plummer, and they got back to they actually handed Brady his first playoff loss. They were 3-1 against Brady in the playoffs. Denver. The only time they lost was when Tebow was the quarterback. That was a big moment actually, because they missed the playoffs for 5 years. The AFC West like sucked for like a 3-year period. Like you'd win that division at 8-8, and Denver won at 8-8 the Tebow year. And they were winning games with crazy shit happening. And I remember they played the Bears, and this dude on the Bears ran out of bounds for some reason at the end and fucked their team because it stopped the clock, and Denver like only had one timeout left. And then Denver won like a 60-yard field goal or some shit. But they beat the Steelers in overtime in the playoffs. It was an awesome moment, and then New England destroyed them. But the other times, Plummer beat him, Brady, and then Manning. The Patriots always had a little bit of trouble in Mile High, especially during the Shanahan years. Like they owned the Patriots even when Denver wasn't doing that great. They started to like. It's funny, like when Tebow and Peyton became the quarterbacks, and these other random dudes, Simeon and everybody else. Now she's snoring loud again. They started. I think they might actually maybe they have like an even record if you count playoffs against each other. Like if you're counting the Brady Belichick combo, just against Denver in general. Brady did beat them last year too, as a Bucs quarterback. But I was a huge Broncos fan. Like I would, my aunt threw it out. I think I had the old Yankee starter jacket and the old Broncos starter. But the old Broncos symbol is awesome with the D and the Bronco coming out of it. Their symbol now is alright, but I have the starter's jacket from I've had this thing for like 20 something years. I still wear it when it's super cold because it's super like puffy and it keeps you warm. But I was a huge fan, man. I loved it. I just love watching football too. I still like paying attention to it. I watched most of the Super Bowl this year, but it doesn't have the same effect it did. Like I said in the video, the Seahawks obliterating Denver, it made me think. I was like, damn it, man. I'm like, the losses are 10 times worse than the wins. I was more pissed and upset that they got destroyed by Seattle than I was happy that they beat the Panthers. Now, when they beat Green Bay for their first Super Bowl, when I was over the moon, that was crazy. I think I was in tears for that one. I was so bummed. And then they beat the Falcons the next year. But yeah, I remember, I think I was in 9th grade. I think it was the 94 season, maybe it was in 10th grade, yes, it would have been 94, I think. They played the Falcons week 1, it was the Chargers week 1. I can look on the football, the sport reference pages, like for hockey and everything, all the stats and shit in the season. thing. This glass cabinet that had videotapes in it. My mom's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, you don't understand. Acting like a complete bozo. I'm like freaking 14 years old or 15. I would have been 15 at the time, I think. But even before that, I would flip out even before that, like I said. I mean, I went to my first Islanders game in 88, 89. I believe I was in 4th grade when I went to my first Islanders game. Baseball, like I said, was earlier. It was the Mets, too. I went to Met games before I went to Yankee games. Then I went to a bunch of Yankee games in like the early 90s to mid-90s. I would go a lot. I saw him play the Angels. I think Bo Jackson was on the Angels. I think he ended up on the Angels at some point. Maybe it was the White Sox he was on. I don't know. That was fun. I got to see all my teams play. I saw Denver play the Bills on Monday Night Football when I was in 10th grade. My mom tried to get Jet tickets, but they were sold out for the Broncos because they played the AFC East that year. But she was able to get tickets to Buffalo Monday Night Football, so me, my friend, and my mom went up. And Denver lost. I remember Elway, we were behind the one end zone. Elway was driving at the end for the win, but it didn't work out. I was like flipping out then too. The guy in front of me is like this. Oh, don't worry about it. I remember leaving that game was insane because it was so tight. We were like leaving and people were coming this way when everybody was going this way. It was like, what are you doing? And I saw Portland play the Nets I think I was in 10th grade for that too. They won that game. This would have been right after they traded Drexler. I think the second half of the season they traded Drexler to the Rockets. They had Otis Thorpe at that point. They had an alright team though. I think Rod Strickland was on that team. I want to say Sabonis was on that team at that point too. Cliff Robinson, who's passed away recently. I don't know if Jerome Kersey, who's also passed away. Duckworth, a lot of those players have died. I don't know if Porter was still on the team or he retired. Another one of my favorite players back then was Sean Kemp. He ended up on Portland briefly as well. But when he was on Seattle, I really liked Sean Kemp. I had a poster of him. They call him the Rain Man. I liked him. Drexler, Porter, I like all the Blazers. That was a good Blazers team. I liked Olajuwon and guys like that too. Pippen. I came to like Pippen more later on. He's on Portland for a little bit. I like Wallace. I like when they had Rasheed Wallace and right. They what they call them the jail Blazers back then, and they were always getting baked. Like all of them were getting high. From like a period of the early 2000s, that's what they were like called. They were getting arrested for like shit all the time. But yeah, sports are fun. I like them. Maybe if you guys like this, I'll do maybe like a monthly sport rant. Try to think of other stories or just talk about current sporting events. I know McDavid and Draisaitl are ripping it up point-wise this year. I think basketball's doing a shortened season too, right? Weird years. Next year's gonna be like the back to normal years. But yeah, I'm trying to get. I've been into hockey for a bit. I wasn't as into hockey back in the day. Like I liked it, but I was more basketball and football were the two. And then I was starting to get into the Islanders more, and then they started to suck. So I'd go to games, but I was like, well, I know they're gonna suck, so I'm not gonna get heavily invested in being pissed that they lose. Back when they drafted guys like Chara and Luongo, and they were gone after like 2 years. It was funny when 92-9, I'll end it on this note. 92-93. It was Fleer Ultra. Me and my friend used to get packs all the time. And you were looking for the Solani rookie was in there. There was a lot of good rookies that year, actually. Kasparaitis, Malakoff from the Islanders. Sylvain Cote wasn't a rookie. But you'd get the pack and you'd get like the Kasparaitis, the Cote, and there was somebody else. And you knew Solani was coming up because that's the way they made the packs. I ended up like 3 Solanis that run. I forget who else was in that rookie class. It was a pretty good rookie class, though, if I recall. it's just